The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and guest and do not reflect the opinions or policies of the station, its owners, or its advertisers. All content should be considered editorial in nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Recorded live from the radio studios of WFAY and WMRV, Androlonis Media presents Cumberland County's smartest hour of talk radio. Welcome back to another edition of the Carolina Cabinet.
Well, everyone, good morning and welcome to the Carolina Cabinet. I'm Peter Pappas. I'll be your host this morning. We are proud to be the only homegrown conservative talk radio show in this region, and we know this is the smartest hour of radio. Our job is to give a voice to the conservatives of Fayetteville, Cumberland County, and beyond. And this morning, we welcome host of the Cabinet, Mrs. Laura Musler.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
And Pastor Joshua Goodman.
Good morning, family.
Welcome, welcome. And special guest to the show, North Carolina State Auditor, Dave Boliek. Good morning.
Welcome.
Good morning.
So,
Good morning.
We're going to dive into our show. We appreciate you tuning in and spending time with us this morning. Please take a moment to like, share, follow us on Facebook, or look for us at thecarolinacabinet.com, and you can find links to our shows and how to listen to your favorite podcast broadcaster. Don't go far. We'll be right back.
Since 2012, Joshua Goodman has been the senior pastor at the Cliffdale Christian Center, a dynamic church and ministry located in West Fayetteville. Join our friend Pastor Goodman for a podcast or a live sermon in person at 6427 Cliffdale Road. Now for today's good news. Here is Joshua Goodman.
Well, good morning from the All-American City. This is Pastor Josh, and have I got some good news for you. In a time when so many want to talk about, discuss, unpack all the negative junk, I'm here to give you some good news. The Old Testament prophet Isaiah writes in Isaiah 43, 18 and 19, words from God that state, "Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." God desires today, friend, to do a new thing in your life. He desires that things would not be the way they once were. And you may say to me, "But Pastor Josh, you don't know how challenging my life has been. You don't know the things I've had to face, the hardships, the tragedies, the financial situations." And I say, I hear you, my friend. I hear you, but I want you. I'm going to say those words once again. God is saying today, I'm going to do a new thing. He is going to make ways that have never been made before, and he's going to make those ways for you. Maybe your life has seemed like it has been in the wilderness for the past week, month, year, decade, I don't know. Maybe it seems like it has just been as dry and as parched as a desert. This is what I want you to do. I want you to take this scripture from Isaiah 43, it's 18 and 19, and I want you to write it down. I want you to put it on your refrigerator. I want you to put it in the mirror in your bathroom, your car, wherever, so that you can see it several times every day. And then what I want you to do is I want you to begin to own it. I want you to take this scripture. I want you to make it yours. I want you to make it personal. God says, don't remember the former things. I know things were challenging. I know things were hard. Don't consider the things of old. God says he is doing that new. It's not going to be the way that it was before. When you make this yours, you say, God, I believe that you're going to do a new thing. God, I believe that you're going to make a road in my desert. You're going to create rivers, God, or a road in my wilderness and rivers in my deserts. All those areas that have been not brought forth fruit, all those areas that have been challenging. Today, God, I'm going to own this scripture. I'm going to make it mine, and I believe you're going to do a new thing in my life. Tell it to yourself every day, multiple times a day, until you begin to believe it. Check this out. He is absolutely going to do a new thing, and you can make this scripture yours today, and your life will change because of it. This is Pastor Josh, and that is your good news.
Talk radio in Eastern North Carolina. You're listening to the Carolina Cabinet. This is the morning show your daddy wanted you to listen to.
Well, I know my daddy wanted me to.
And welcome back. Your daddy did want you to listen to the cabinet. We are good for you. So, good news as always.
Yes.
Basically, positive self-affirmation.
Yes.
Every day.
Every
Tell
day.
yourself.
So you take a look at the world we live in, right? Mm-hmm. Social media, everybody is, and I don't deny that tragedy is tragedy. Difficulties are difficulties. We've all seen it. Most everybody has experienced COVID, the shutdown, the political and all the circumstances and a little bit of personal affirmation.
Yeah.
For you to believe, hey, God is saying this to me today. He's going to do not something that was old, not something that was in the past, but he's going to do something new.
Right.
He's going to make right the challenges that I've seen.
Well, God willing. We've been through it in the last week with the death of Charlie Kirk,
Yes.
and the outpouring of support for him has been tremendous, but then also the outpouring of stupid
Yes.
has been tremendous as well. And I think I told somebody, they said, should you lose your job over, saying something negative about Mr. Kirk? And I said, for basic human decency, you should lose your job. It's not that man died. It's for anybody.
Yeah, that a man died.
Yeah, and why should you be allowed to go out there touting this hate and not face some kind of consequence for it?
Yeah.
If that's your opinion, stand on it.
Yeah.
Or lose your job on it. In my opinion.
That's it. So we're actually Laura doesn't know this yet, but we're probably going to have a special show for Charlie Kirk later this week.
Oh, cool.
We already have another show lined up for tomorrow. There was one city council candidate that didn't make the cut as far as my booking schedule. So
who is that? Who
his name Travis Hamed.
Hamed. Okay.
He's running for District 8 City Council against there is no incumbent actually. So
that's right.
He's got Sean McMillan and a man named Mr. Garvin.
Who was at 8?
8 was Courtney Banks McLaughlin.
Yep, and she's running for
mayor.
mayor.
And she decided to run for mayor,
Yep.
even though she did try to switch that back to District 8, but it was 15 minutes after the deadline on filing.
Yeah.
So they were like, no, ma'am, you got to follow the rules. And that's, that really chaps those guys.
I hate it when that happens.
Man.
Yeah, I really do. She also didn't show up to the candidate forum yesterday for the mayoral race.
Ooh.
And the one that she did show up for, she left without answering any questions.
Friends of Haymont.
Yep, that's correct.
Well, no, she said, hi, I'm Courtney, yada, yada. And then she says, but I have another engagement, I got to go. And then 12 hours later on her Facebook, check this out. She posted pictures of the Friends of Haymont gathering and said it was so nice to connect to.
But she wasn't there for any questions.
Come on. Nope, you didn't. Anyway, maybe she spoke in the mingling part. I don't know. Okay, so you know what we do? We go around the room.
Sir.
What have been up to last week? Mine is pretty short. Friends of Haymont. That was about it. I went to that.
I gave mine. That's it.
I went to that. I did go to the GOP meet and greet on Thursday.
Yep.
Met a couple of new people that wanted to get involved in the party. And with that,
we had the mayoral debate.
We did.
Yesterday.
Mayoral debate was yesterday.
At the college.
I can't say it on if we were on the radio, but it was kind of a crap show.
Young.
You couldn't.
Goodness.
The technical support, we couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
That was one. But the questions, now that was put on by Democrat and Republican parties, correct?
It was not the Republican Party. The Republican Party did not participate in that.
Okay, but we did the other.
We did the other.
We did have some collaboration before.
Yes.
Okay. So, but it was still the same format of questions, the way they were being taken from the audience and thrown in a bowl. It's a little disorganized to do that because we don't get a cross section of what the person's thinking if we hit the wrong person with a homeless issue or a stormwater or
see, that's why we take feedback so that we can have different bowls like public safety and.
Well, here's my feedback. We need bowls.
Okay.
There's my feedback. But anyway, but thank you to the mayoral candidates that showed up.
I hear the good parts of having the bowl where everybody can throw in a question, but I'm a format guy. I come in every week. I got my stuff. I like to know. Not that everybody has to know the questions, but I'm one that I like to have it. We're going to ask this question. You got 3 minutes, then this, then this.
But then you run the risk of, not that anybody would, and I'm not calling anybody out, but you run the risk of somebody having a favorite and slipping them the questions.
Yeah.
So and there was literally one of the forums, they had listened to the previous day's forum and wrote down answers.
Well, you know what? That's just being a good planner. I'd rather that guy give me the answer than somebody ill-prepared. But I will let this slip for the Chamber of Commerce's candidate forum that'll be post-primary, so that'll be the 14th. We are settling on our format, and I will be moderating. And
Yay.
I am going back to talk to my group because I'm going to start interrupting the candidates. So
I will say that
I will refocus them on topic.
Good.
And when they're off topic, they're going to lose their time.
Yep.
But the media partners are going to have, so each candidate group, like District 1, 2, 3, whatever, they're going to have 4 questions.
This will be post-primary,
This will be so it's only 2 people.
Yep.
So there's going to be 4 questions, 3 of which come from the chamber, from the body, because that's why we're there.
Yep.
But the 4th one is a wild card.
Yeah.
I've never seen before. And the media partner that'll be asking the question is the one that's tasked to create that question.
Oh, wow.
So if that media partner has done journalism in that district or has some specific, they're going to, it's not going to be known.
Yeah.
So all I know is what districts I've assigned. I don't know what questions. So that should be fun. But so what else?
The Democrats want to repartner. They said we did such a good job and we worked well together. It was very nice to collaborate and get people with a different view.
I mean, I'm still picking my jaw up off the floor that you all talk to Democrats. I mean, my goodness.
Of course we
it's
do.
just crazy.
We are always the one reaching out.
Such party disloyalty, Miss Musler.
I've been accused of that.
Goodness.
So
I've been accused of worse. I don't know, Dave over there. He's very quiet right now, but I don't know if you've been accused of worse or not, Mr. Boliek.
I've been accused of a lot of things.
Yes, sir. Okay,
And that's why I don't run for politics.
there you go. So Josh, what was up last week with you?
It's just still busy. School,
I went by there yesterday, day before, and you had some wood needed to be painted on the front of the.
So I have to
What's
wait.
going on?
Wait, it's that log building is 35, 40 years old,
Okay.
and so we had to replace some of the wood. Well, when you replace it with pressure treated wood, you can't. It's best not to just. You got to let it cure.
You got to let it cure. Okay.
And so it's
I just
curing.
rode by. I'm like, look at Josh not finishing those projects we're talking about.
Yeah,
I think we're going on 4 episodes now.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, it's curing. But I do have to give a huge shout out to Jim because last week Jim brought me a sandwich, y'all.
He did,
and from the amazing Baldinos.
Yes.
And my son and I had that for dinner that night, for breakfast the next morning, and then for lunch that day. That's how much I was taking a bite. I was like, "Thank you, Jim."
Yes, thank you,
Jim.
Well, we're in a pretty good routine right now, Jim and I. So he's in the restaurant. I'm at the office, and I get that text at like 1 o'clock. What do you want for lunch?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I want?
yeah.
I want Baldinos. That's what I want.
That's right.
And
So,
I found out that Baldino's bakes their own bread daily.
It's
Holy
so
smoke! It was.
good.
I was like, I want to come just buy a bunch of bread so I can cook it whenever
Well,
I
I know
want.
I know the owner. So
you know
Do
a
you?
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
I was going to say I know a guy too.
I got a guy.
Yeah.
But with school starting, that's where we're at. I do a leadership class every Tuesday, and I'm writing that about different leadership principles. So between writing that, getting it, I don't want to say publicized, but taking care of getting it edited, printed out, formatted, all that kind of stuff.
It's all marketing, Josh.
It's all
whether we want to admit it or not. It's all marketing,
it
man.
is. And it's busy. It's a lot of work, but it's good. It's really good. So those are the 2 things, and then I got a son turning 16 next week.
Ooh.
Wow.
My youngest.
So you have someone in your household that now knows everything.
Yes, yeah. And he's the baby. So me and my boy are probably going to go camping or go shoot some guns.
When is this happening?
I'll be out. Not this. I'll be here next Monday, but the following Monday I'll be out.
Okay. What you got going on this Friday?
Friday.
Do you guys have any events at the church on Friday? Good. I want you at the Resource Center. We're going to have a vigil for Charlie
I should
Kirk.
be able to do that.
6:30 to 7:30. We've even already spoken to FPD to set up security and all.
Good.
So
Good. Yeah.
we're trying to put that together. It should be
Very
fun.
cool.
So if you're going to be there, I'm going to rope you into praying for us. But, So
I got to check my calendar.
check your calendar. But
make sure I'm good.
I'll let my people. We'll talk to your people.
Talk to your
So
call mom.
So, Dave, I don't look. I've known you as Dave for so long, so no disrespect, but Auditor Dave. So, what has been going on in Dave's world the last? Have you taken any vacations this summer with your family? I know you've been hard at it since you took office.
I mean, I took a little bit of time on July 4th week with the family, but I did have a parade. I went to the Belhaven parade in Belhaven, North Carolina. Great 4th of July parade, by the way, one of the best.
Okay.
I've been busy. I do miss Baldinos. We don't get Baldinos in Raleigh. I used to could get Baldinos when I left the courthouse at lunch, and don't get Baldinos. So I'm going to have to come back down to Fayetteville for that reason.
Your former partners, they do visit us frequently, and I take their lunch money smiling. I appreciate that.
Well, you should please take it with a smile on your face
and enjoy it.
Yeah, but no, we've been busy. I've, with Charlie Kirk's assassination this past week, it's been a tough week for a lot of folks, particularly across the state in conservative circles. For me, my 15-year-old, I've got a 15-year-old, I got a 26, a 24, a 20, and a 15. And my 15-year-old really looked up to Charlie Kirk a lot, so he had a tough time with that situation. He came to me with a little bit different perspective. I mean, what he really admired Charlie Kirk for was giving him, as a 15-year-old, sort of the strength and the ability to stand up as a Christian in school
Yep.
and be able to be unashamed and unabashed. And my son's never been ashamed about being a Christian, but to be publicly more vocal with respect to being a Christian, and also to know that he could be active as a conservative young person and not have to hide that. And
Excellent.
that's one of the things I think Charlie Kirk stood for. I didn't know Charlie Kirk other than I met him very briefly. I didn't meet him at a Reagan-Lincoln dinner in the Republican Party. I met him in Chapel Hill, right?
Okay.
I met him at the university, where, of course, I served as chairman of the board there at UNC Chapel Hill, and Charlie Kirk came with Vivek Ramaswamy to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to be a part of the conservative movement and encourage students there on campus. That's one of the things I admired him so much about, and why I tell people, and I said it in a talk earlier this week. I didn't meet him at a Lincoln Reagan dinner. I met him at UNC Chapel Hill. I met him in the belly of the beast, because
doing what he does, baby, doing what he does.
Charlie Kirk went where the work was needed, right? And that's, obviously his wife and two children are going to miss him dearly, and he's going to be absent in their life. But we will miss him for that work, which is going into the belly of the beast where the work is needed.
Absolutely.
And giving people the courage, to say, I'm conservative. I'm a Christian.
Yeah,
and
to make it, to normalize being okay.
Yep, and it's okay that I am. I'm allowed to be.
Well, so I'm going to have Lieutenant Colonel Christian Sorensen. I don't know if you remember him from a previous show, but he was former special ops, psyops. And the reason I'm going to bring him in to talk to him with regards to Charlie Kirk is to talk about the level of language, the discourse, the having proper back and forth. It's not attacking the person, it's attacking the policy or attacking the premise, like what is a woman, and just getting down to the brass tacks of the matter. And that kind of debate and exchange is being lost in our society.
Well, and Peter, you and Laura know that was sort of my mantra at Chapel Hill, and I introduced and started the School of Civic Life and Leadership for the sole purpose of engaging in civil discourse, bringing a conservative ideological viewpoint onto campus so that there would be another side. And I said this actually was interviewed on Fox News by the current Defense Secretary, and said, that there's no shortage of left of center views on college campuses. What we're short of is a balance of conservative ideals for students who can feel comfortable on campus. And we introduced the School of Civic Life and Leadership to much opposition by the faculty there at Chapel Hill. And when I campaigned for state auditor across the state and was talking about the work that we were doing in Chapel Hill to try to bring an ideological balance back to campus, I was asked questions about it. And then, by April of last year, people could really see that personified by those fraternity brothers that were holding up the flag in the face of Palestinian protesters as the answer to, well, why in the world would you put so much effort and work into trying to bring conservative ideological balance to a place like Chapel Hill? It's because we've got patriots on that campus. And we need to have a place at all public universities where, regardless of your political ideology, ideology, you feel comfortable. And we were able to really move the ball forward there at Chapel Hill. The work still continues to need to be done there on campus, but we've made a significant impact toward bringing balance to our public universities.
I feel like you established a beachhead. So now
Yeah.
we can build against it. And so because I do have, I know some younger folks that are at Chapel Hill right now. Is that the school that you helped put together? Are there courses available for like the undergraduate student? How does that work?
There are. It's its own school, stood up
Okay.
independent, and you can major and minor in civic life and leadership.
Oh, okay.
And the idea is to, and a lot of the students are minoring in it because it gives them the ability to be taught about the founding of our country and the values that our country stands for, and then to be given to learn the tools of civil discourse, how to engage in the exact thing that Charlie Kirk was doing when he was gunned down. And that is engaging with individuals in a respectful manner, understanding and listening to their viewpoint, and being able to articulate your viewpoint, if it's different, back to that person in an engaging way. And that is really what our country was founded on. It was founded on the idea that we could have, as Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a marketplace of ideas. Oliver Wendell Holmes, by the way, a Republican appointed by Theodore Roosevelt, is most famous for establishing the marketplace of ideas theory. And we saw in the election 2024 that the conservative marketplace of ideas won out and across this country with the election of President Trump. And so that was what Charlie Kirk was engaged in when he was gunned down, was that marketplace of ideas. And you could see the movement from Turning Point USA pick up momentum across our campuses. And it is still glorious to see that we can exchange ideas. You know, nobody agrees with somebody, I think, 100%. There are things that the four of us, I think, could agree to agree on, and we could also probably agree to disagree on many things. But our ability to be able to discuss that as mature humans who look to move our people forward, right, as Americans, is what is unique about our country. And for that, I will miss Charlie Kirk's viewpoint.
Absolutely. Well, I have one more question about the school at Chapel Hill, then we're going to move on to we're going to go over your bio and all that good stuff. But with the establishment of this school, and I don't know who did the curriculum or whatever, what have you, but did we learn how far behind our students are with knowing about civics and things like that? I mean, was there a measure of just ill preparedness that we were running into trying to build a curriculum there?
Yeah, I mean, there was a generalized viewpoint of being really not confident in what our institutions of higher education were delivering on behalf of students to students who are customers, after all, right? So the school, one of the tenets of the founding, one of the reasons why we wanted to found that school, was to give parents sort of a way to look at our university in Chapel Hill, and this is spread to other places. Ohio State has taken our model, University of Tennessee, the University of Texas, University of Florida. They've all begun to build out similar versions of the school, and that is to give prospective students confidence that they can come to school, carry their own ideology, and then also be supported in terms of being able to learn tools and skills to be able to defend and to own their position confidently without having to bend a knee to any other competing idea.
Well, how long do you think until we get a version of this at UC Berkeley?
Yeah.
We're a little ways off from that, you think?
I think we're probably a little ways off from that.
We'll let them have some time, yeah.
I'm never surprised at anything that happens. Peter.
In
But
California,
I would probably
especially,
be
yeah.
surprised if California started something.
That's when we really know we've got a big red wave or a big conservative movement. Is when we get one at UC Berkeley. So Dave, I have your bio in front of me. You were born in Lincoln, North Carolina. You lived in Fayetteville. I know you lived in Fayetteville. I didn't know about Durham, Eden, Greensboro, Chapel Hill, Thomasville, Good Lord. Where have you not lived?
I was going to say, he's lived all over the state.
So when you were a prosecutor, which office were you with as a prosecutor?
There in Fayetteville. I worked for Ed Grant. Yeah,
oh, you did?
I did.
Okay.
Former Judge Claire Hill was my boss.
Really? Okay.
He was my
Those are
supervisor.
names that I know, but okay, all right. And chairman of UNC Chapel Hill Board of Trustees. I remember you doing that. And what happened with DEI and the police department? Wasn't there something to do with like taking funds from one and giving it to the other? I just seem to remember a story about that.
Sure. Yeah. So I had the opportunity when I was chair of the board. We did the School of Civic Life and Leadership. I decided that I was going to run for state auditor, and I stepped aside as chair of the board. But the board asked me, the members of the board asked me if I would be willing to continue to serve in a leadership role on the board. I was still a member of the Board of Trustees all the way up until December 31st of last year. But they asked me if I would serve in a leadership role, so I took the reins of the Budget and Finance Committee at the university. And as part of that, budget reform that we engaged in several years ago when we changed the budgeting of UNC, and then that budget model was adopted by other system schools, we have authority to approve and monitor the budgeting of the university now as trustees. And as part of that, our board and under my leadership, what we decided to do was to eliminate the easily identifiable DEI funding and shift those dollars to public safety, where we could get more return on investment. So we did that as part of our budget process. And so, I did that. That was in the last fall. So it's about a year ago now that we did that.
So I just I'm basically bringing that up because I want everybody to know, watching, that Dave is not everybody's favorite all the time.
Right.
He's done a lot of hard work, and whether he did what was right in my perception. But okay, so let's dive into what we want.
What does a state auditor do?
I was going to say, what's the most most people think bookkeeper.
Yes.
So what's the most misunderstood part of your
come on,
job?
he just works for the governor,
Josh,
does what the governor says.
You hit the nail on the head. That's the first question I get. A lot of people think we audit your personal income tax, and we don't do that. So that's not what we do. The state auditor in North Carolina is actually probably, if you survey across the country, the most powerful state auditor's office in the state of North Carolina. And generally speaking, what the auditor does is we hold government at all levels accountable. And what does that mean? It means we perform financial audits. And those are oftentimes high-level financial statement audits of state agencies that contribute to the state financial statement overall and contribute directly also to the AAA bond rating of the state of North Carolina. So we make sure the numbers all add up. We also do efficiency and economy audits across the state and program result audits. And that's where, for example, our DMV audit comes into play. We do that under the umbrella of our performance audit team. And we can also investigate. And so I have an investigation team. I actually recruited away a 21-year prosecutor from the Cumberland County DA's office to come to Raleigh and head up our investigations division. And so we investigate mostly municipalities for misfeasance and malfeasance in the use of public funds. And we also have a rapid response team that goes in. It's our effort to be proactively reactive. So when things hit the news and folks think that the state auditor ought to be involved, we now have teams available to send in to get quick answers and then make a determination as to whether we need to stay longer and find out more information. So
let me ask too, because just pairing in with that, because you mentioned municipalities. So it's more than just a statewide. It can be on a very low. You can do audits on a very local level also. Then is that correct?
We can and we do. In fact, we just released our first full investigation since I took office. It does take a minute or two. I say a minute or two. It
Sure.
takes time
Yeah.
to develop these investigative reports. And we had to rebuild the investigative team here at our office. I walked in, we had 2 people in the investigations unit.
Wow.
Today we have 12. And so they're working really hard to produce additional investigations. And we have many investigations going on across the state. But I'll give you an example. You can go to our website and see it. Is we did an investigation of the town of Mount Olive, which is a small town, and found $211,000 in misappropriated and unbilled water bills.
Oh, wow.
And it's $211,000, not a lot of money to a place like the city of Fayetteville, but to Mount Olive, that's a lot of money.
That's
And
So-
we found, city council folks not paying water bills, that kind of stuff. So that's the type of investigations that we can do. Anything that deals with public funds or that has anything to do with the public at all, we have authority to audit.
Wow, nice.
So I learned a new word, misfeasance.
Misfeasance, yeah.
Malfeasance. Can you shed some light on the misfeasance so I don't have to go to Google, please?
Yeah, so misfeasance is when there's wrongdoing, but it's not necessarily intentional.
Okay.
It is either incompetence or just the skill set isn't there, or folks just make mistakes, and they may be minor mistakes or they may be serious mistakes. Usually when you say misfeasance, you're thinking more major mistakes, right? Like systematic problems. I'll give you an example. Misfeasance is the mismanagement that our team has uncovered in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system, where they're $46 million over budget, and it's because they hired 100 individuals with COVID money, which was one-time money, and they hired them as full-time employees. And what do you do when the money runs out? They also gave $76 million in bonuses to school personnel with money they didn't have. And they had $332 million in uncategorized expenses in something called a suspense account, which means they had no idea where the money was going because they didn't know where it was going. It wasn't categorized in the budget. And they also have not reconciled their books in multiple years. That is misfeasance. And in fact, I took that to the State Board of Education, and the State Board of Education and the Local Government Commission, on which I sit on the Local Government Commission, have both found mismanagement on behalf of the school system in Winston-Salem, Forsyth County, and we're taking action to attempt to right that ship. So that's an example of extreme misfeasance. Malfeasance is what we see, I believe, to be the case in Mount Olive, where you have people intentionally not collecting water bill amounts of money and or embezzling money. So if you have somebody that embezzles money, that would be malfeasance.
Got you. Okay. All right. Well, let's go straight to the DMV, Laura. You had plenty of questions about the state DMV.
The DMV. That's the news media. The traditional news media likes to call that my white whale.
Yeah.
Because as Laura knows, I campaigned on auditing the DMV. So that I will say is a promise made and a promise kept. We have done a first run on our audit of the DMV. We're not done completely with the DMV, but we have submitted and completed our first 600 pages.
Excellent.
Okay, so you audited the DMV and found that wait times are now about an hour and 15 minutes. That's up 15.5% since 2019.
So Laura, that's also an hour and 15 minutes once you check in. That doesn't include, that's not all those folks waiting outside who haven't checked in yet.
Wow. So what caused the deterioration?
Well, what caused it was not minding the store, I think. And that's what our team found is that there just wasn't active management at the Division of Motor Vehicles. And you also have a situation where our top line recommendation on DMV is to separate it from the Department of Transportation. DMV is a separate division of the DOT. Okay. While that is the case, the DMV actually gets no money in state appropriations. They create all of their own money through the collection of fees. They collect, and you're going to love this number, They collect $2.2 billion a year
Wow.
in fees from North Carolinians. They also collect an additional $1.4 billion plus dollars on behalf of county governments for taxes. But in fees alone, they collect north of $2.2 billion. And it costs the state of North Carolina $210 million or so a year to run the DMV. Well, that's a 10x business. That's a business that makes 10 times more than it costs to run, but yet they are part of the DOT and they have to run every decision up 3 or 4 flagpoles before they can do anything. And it makes them not efficient. It makes them slow on the uptake. It also creates extra bureaucratic problems and red tape that they have to jump through, hoops they have to jump through to make decisions. So we're recommending that the DMV be separated out as its own agency and that the commissioner of the DMV answer directly to the governor. And we believe that if that is the case, there will be a new emphasis on customer service and that the DMV will be more responsive to the customers. And that I'll tell you, guys, that's not a recommendation that I came up with spitballing. That's a recommendation a professional team of auditors and experts in the field that we brought in as consultants came up with. They came up with that based on the data. And the
So
data
you're
shows the DMV will work better as a standalone agency.
so you're suggesting the breaking away from the DOT. Who's fighting you on it and why?
The governor and the commissioner of the DMV don't like the idea. They say it's going to be disruptive to the operations of the DMV. And I think they're a little
more
bit
things are going to
concerned.
happen quicker. Yeah,
Right. Well,
that's the point.
Well, that's my point. My point is that if we're going to disrupt something, now's the time. And
Right.
and sometimes if you're going to get major change from something, a little disruption is exactly what you need. And
Yes.
that was our recommendation. And that is a private industry way of dealing with it. That is not a government response. And our office, at least since I took office on January 1st, yes, taking the approach of what works well in private industry, and disruption is one of the things that works well in private industry. Sometimes you just have to disrupt things to make it work better. And look, I'll just tell you, the DMV can't get worse. So
That's
let's try things, right? And that's why we're pushing really hard on this. And the legislature has reached out. Our team has worked with legislative leadership on some legislation to make the DMV its own agency, and I think the citizens can expect some movement on that front.
Excellent.
So that means they'll be hiring. Is that correct?
They might be.
Well, they are hiring. That is another thing that we did do. Look, it's not always a conservative/Republican thing to do to recommend that we hire additional government employees. But I have committed to the people to take a look at this from the point of return on investment.
Yeah.
So just because you're conservative doesn't mean you're not willing to invest money. What it does mean as a conservative is that if you're going to invest money, it needs to be in a way that returns investment in a government setting to the taxpayer. And what has happened previously with agencies like the DMV across North Carolina is they go to the legislature with their hand out, they get a check, and they spend it the way they want to spend it, not the way that it needs to be spent. Our recommendation was very clear. Spend it on licensed examiners who are actually going to hand people a card that is a real ID and a driver's license or an identification card. That's what we need. That's what's necessary in North Carolina, a state where there's 350 new people moving here every day. And so
Wow.
with that, there has been hiring of the DMV, but let's not forget, when we released our audit earlier this spring, there were 160 openings at the DMV
Wow.
where they
And
had
now?
not filled open positions. I know that they've hired 64 new license examiners over the last 30 days, and so that's a move in the right direction. But my commitment to the people of North Carolina is keep my eye on the DMV. I said at our press conference when we released the audit that I was going to be a dog with a bone, and I am. We're not going to let this go until it's fixed. I'm going to stay on it. And we're going to keep the pressure on the governor's office and the Department of Transportation, the DMV, and for that matter, the legislature as well, to make sure the DMV is fixed.
All right.
One more question
Go
about
ahead.
the DMV. Since
Sure.
2014, we've spent $42 million on tech upgrades. And I don't think there's been much to show for it. But how do we make sure that the taxpayers don't keep spending money like that and have nothing to show for it? And do you see anything in the tech world that we could be using to help upgrade the DMV?
Yeah, Laura, great question. And part of our audit was the information systems part of the audit, which is the IT. And yes, $42 million spent. And here's how it was spent. The bones of our DMV computer system, your driver's license and your personal identifying information, is built on a computer language called COBOL.
Like IBM
And
mainframe, COBOL.
it is old. I mean, Peter, you and I are old enough to remember the TRS-80 computer
Yes.
when it first came out. This COBOL is like a step or two above that. I mean,
Yeah,
this is
me and Laura don't remember that
old.
word because we're
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
old.
y'all
Yeah, y'all are
spring
old.
chickens, yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I
Y'all old.
this is just the original. This stuff is so old. I mean, our audit, the conclusion is that DMV's technology is frozen in time. And what they spent on that money on, I have no idea.
Yeah.
What I believe it was spent on is what they call computer macros built on top of old computer language systems to accomplish individual tasks. Complete waste of money. It's time to go ahead and bite the bullet and modernize the DMV computer system. And what that really requires is leadership. It requires leadership and people at the in this case the governor level to go in and say, look, I know it's going to take some time, and it may not even get completely finished during my term as governor or my term as DMV commissioner, but I need to realize that for the betterment of the state of North Carolina, it's time to start the ball rolling. I've yet to see it from DMV, but again, we're going to keep them held accountable because I'm going to keep the pedal to the metal on this until it's completely reformed and that folks can get back to where you can walk into the office and get a driver's license.
Well, that makes me wonder what other government agencies in North Carolina have legacy systems like that. I mean, that's because basically,
Peter,
like you said,
they're all
leadership.
I was
Nobody's
gonna say, aren't they all like that? I mean,
nobody
they all
wants to
just
draw a line and say, "Quit patching this. It's
Right.
time to come into the year
That was what's wrong
2020."
with the error.
So I'm glad you asked that
Yeah,
question.
I mean-
I had a meeting. This is an interesting point. One of the things I'll get in the weeds with you guys for a minute here. When you have an office and you're the head of an office, so I'm blessed and I want to thank the people of North Carolina for electing me. And I'm the head of the Office of State Auditor. And one of the things that you do when the legislature meets is you take a look at the authorizing statute that gives you the authority of your office. And that is, and so you go to the legislature when you want to make changes, and it's called an agency bill. And so we had an agency bill, House Bill 459 this year, which clarified the powers of the North Carolina State Auditor. And as part of that agency bill, one of the things that we asked the legislature to do is to exempt us from the Division of Information Technology, which is the state IT department.
So you don't have to use state
Right.
IT.
And the reason we wanted to do this is they're using antiquated data servers.
Yeah.
It takes 17 months on average to get a piece of software approved. That's half of a term. Okay.
All right.
And so,
By the time you get it, it's already outdated
It's
anyway.
outdated,
Right.
Yeah.
And so
There's been
when you
another
got-
iPhone made.
right, when you got that kind of system, it's no wonder that heads of agencies don't want to go through this process to make major reform. So I have a commitment to my team here that I don't want to be the DMV of the auditors world, right? I want to be ahead of the technology. And so the legislature passed a law that made us exempt. The governor vetoed that law, and then the legislature overrode that law. So we are now exempt from Division of Information Technology. We're using new computer systems to get ahead of that curve. And as part of that process, I'm getting to the answer to your question, Peter, is I've talked to the head of DIT, and one of the things that we're working on is surveying on behalf of the state of North Carolina, the information technology systems, to look at these legacy systems and to take a look at where an inventory, so to speak, of what we need to do across North Carolina. The report's pretty clear on DMV, and DMV is really the tip of the iceberg. It's all over the state of North Carolina.
Well, hopefully you can turn it around and make an example. I mean, not a good example of what it can be.
We want to move things. Look,
like you're not trying to take them. You're not trying to take them to the woodshed. You just want it to work for us.
Right. And our DMV audit, I'm really proud of this. And I've had a couple of people tell me this in the feedback loop that I've gotten. You know, we approached that DMV audit differently than a lot of audits had been approached here out of this office in previous administrations. Look, I'm not telling anybody anything if I come up with an audit that says the DMV stinks. Everybody knows that, right?
That's true.
So the approach we've taken is where are the opportunities? What are the things that we can do to help make it better? And that's our mission here, is to come up with audits. We don't need a bunch of gotcha audits. What we need is audits that take a look at the data and that inform policymakers across the state of North Carolina at all levels how to make North Carolina better. And that's the approach we're taking. That's the approach we took with the DMV audit.
I already went.
No, but you can still go. I'm not taking it away from you, Laura.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm not trying to.
Do we want to move on to the
Yeah,
the
I think we can.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg
Let's get
Police
some.
Department?
Let's get another one in here.
Oh boy, Charlotte,
We're-
one of my favorite places, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, so you audited the Charlotte Police Department, and the settlement raised some flags. They were taking money from different funds and things like that. Is this a one-off, or do we see this lack of transparency statewide?
So, City of Charlotte, here's the story there. Just to and Laura, you mentioned it, but I want to bring the listeners up to speed on what happened. The City of Charlotte entered into a closed door settlement with their chief of police over a proposed lawsuit that the chief of police threatened against his employer.
Sounds like
And
Fayetteville.
they settled with him in a monetary amount of $305,000, but didn't tell the public about it. And I got a tip off our tip line. I got personal phone calls about it. And I put together enough information that I believe that it was credibly, I believe that there was a settlement, was not sure of the exact dollar amount. So I sent a letter to the mayor of Charlotte, the city council, city manager, city attorney, and told them that we were going to investigate the city of Charlotte over this settlement, because we believe that the law is clear that when you expend public money, you need to tell the public about the money you're spending. And I believe that to be the case today. We sent that letter. 5 days later, the city of Charlotte released the fact that they had in fact given the chief of police $305,000. And so I credit my letter to the city with actually getting that dollar amount released. And the media there, the TV stations and local radio and newspaper, also credit our office with that, because they had attempted to get that information released as well and couldn't until our office began our investigation. We confirmed the $305,000. We also confirmed the fact that the city of Charlotte had entered into $27 million worth of settlements last year for various things. Now, that runs the gamut from garbage trucks running over people's mailboxes to, police cars crashing into telephone poles by accident as a result of a chase. There's a lot of slip and fall cases in City Hall. A lot of reasons why those settlements would be made. But the troubling part of the audit to me was the response from the mayor, who was indignant about the public release of money. And she continues to take the stand that the release of public funds in response to settlements is not always public information. And quite frankly, as an attorney and my team, we read the law, and the School of Government in Chapel Hill reads the law to say there are parts of a lawsuit settlement that may not be for public consumption. And you could come up with a myriad of reasons why. sometimes it may be releasing personal information that is not necessarily consumable. But if you expend a single penny of public money, that money should be released in full to the public. Because guess what? When you're mayor of a city and you're spending money in settlement of a lawsuit, that's not your money.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's the people's money, and they deserve an accounting. And so we're sticking firm to that. So Laura, the answer to your question is no, it's not a one-off. We're going to continue that mission. And in fact, just days before we released our final report on the chief of police, we initiated our second investigation of the city of Charlotte, and that is of the Charlotte area transit system. And what we believe are problems systematically there. You've seen 3 high-profile instances of violence on that system. The family of Ms. Zaruska, who was tragically and brutally murdered on the Charlotte area transit system, actually asked that more oversight be given to a private security contract in the Charlotte area transit system. So in response to the wishes of Ms. Zaruska's family and for the service workers that take that transit system every day, and to the students who use that transit system every day, and to the fans of the Charlotte Panthers who are going to get on that transit system this coming Sunday to go to a football game, we've initiated an investigation of the security contract, the processes and procedures, and we're going to get some answers on exactly what's going on with the transit system on behalf of the people of North Carolina. And we've put them on an expedited time frame to where we're going to want answers quick.
So going back to the $27 million that you found, so the thing with the chief of police was the mere threat of a lawsuit. There was not actually anything litigated,
that is correct.
Or was it? So it was just a threat. Now,
Just
the $27 million that you found, were those actually litigated and settlement judgments assigned, or were they similar threats?
Some of them were, some of them
find?
weren't. That's just the total pot of money that came out of the city settlement fund that they used. So that, hey, full disclosure, that fund is ripe for additional auditing, and that is an area that we're going to take a look at moving forward. But right now, our focus in the city of Charlotte is on the Charlotte area transit system.
Yeah.
Because,
I'm surprised the pot isn't larger. I mean,
well,
if it was that easy to make these
That's
guys
just
blink.
1 year, though.
Yeah. My God.
That's just 1 year. And, of course, Charlotte's a big city. Let's not forget it's the 14th largest metro area in the country. So $27 million to the city of Fayetteville is a lot of money. And
how big is their budget? Like $1 billion, $2 billion? I mean,
it's billions, multiple billions.
Is it? Okay. So, yeah, and ours is only about $400 million here in Fayetteville. So that is apples and
city of Charlotte's
balls.
a big city. It's they're a state domestic product. They're bigger than a lot of states in terms of the amount of money they spend. I mean, it's a financial center, it's an economic center. They've got a lot going on in the city of Charlotte, but this also fits neatly into the wheelhouse of the legislature as part of something called the PAVE Act, P-A-V-E. The PAVE Act creates a new transit authority for Mecklenburg County and the surrounding counties, Union, Cabarrus, Rowan, Iredell, Gaston County. Creates a new transit authority with the ability to levy additional taxes and fees to help pay for a transit system there in Charlotte moving forward. And as part of that legislation, the state auditor's office was specifically directed to keep an eye on those funds and to audit that process and the funds that are used. So this really gives us the opportunity to step into an area that the legislature views as a high priority for audit and watchdog work.
Okay. Well, I'm sure the residents of Charlotte will be really happy to have more construction, more organized, I'm sure, because there hasn't been enough on their roads so far. So we don't live in Charlotte, unfortunately, the Queen City, but we do live in Fayetteville.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of
bringing
Fayetteville,
it back to Fayetteville, Laura, You might have a few things to say about that.
Okay, so you're from
He's from everywhere.
Yeah, you're from everywhere. However,
I spent 27 years in Fayetteville, so I
Okay, so
consider
when-
myself from Fayetteville. All my kids were born at Fayetteville.
Well,
There
we,
you
we
go.
can tell by the way you say it. It's not Fayetteville. It's
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
It's
Fayetteville.
Fayetteville.
Yeah. Wait, it's also not Fayetteville from Grace Creek.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So, when was the last time the auditor's office audited Fayetteville, and when are you coming down here? Because I feel like I've heard that it's been like over 20 years since an outside agency, because they say, oh, we get an audit every year. Well, if your friends are auditing you, that's not a real audit. Just to say where the money, yes, all the money's accounted for. Where did the money go?
What does that look like?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since there's been an independent audit of the city of Fayetteville, and I want to leave it at this and say that I will not. Our intention, at least as long as I'm the state auditor, is to not leave the city of Fayetteville out of the party.
So,
Well, good.
let's just talk about some generalities. Just so the city municipalities, as far as I know, they do an audit annually. That is what they refer to as a box audit. Is
Well,
that
they have
correct?
to do an audit. They have the local government commission on which I sit. So, local government commission is comprised of myself as the state auditor, the state treasurer, and the secretary of state, as well as the secretary of revenue. And then there are citizens who are appointed by the legislature and the governor to also serve on what's called the local government commission. LGC is what they call it. And the job of the LGC is to approve bonding, so borrowing across the state of North Carolina. And a lot of that is a check even on the voters. So, for example, if the voters approve a bond referendum for a county, for example, it has to still go through the check of the LGC because we need to make sure that the county has the financial resources and wherewithal and assets to back up those bonds so that they don't put the citizens at risk more than is reasonable when you're issuing bonds and paying interest on those bonds and paying the money back on those bonds. And so as part of that process, every municipality and every county is required to submit an audit of their financial statements to the LGC. So they do that audit every year. But that is a high-level financial audit. That is not a performance audit that digs down into the hows and whys of how dollars
and
are
that's what I see. That's what I wanted to learn.
I've got a shovel right here.
Well,
so
I mean,
what are
that's
we
what I
digging?
wanted to learn by having, Auditor Boliek here was what are we asking for? We're talking about a performance audit that hasn't been done
Right.
in a long time.
The key to performance audits too is to scope the audit reasonably. So if you go into a large organization with a municipality of Fayetteville size, 400 some odd $1 million a year, that's a large pot of money. It is there are lots of moving pieces to that particular organization, to the institution that is the city of Fayetteville. So throwing a net over the entire city would take a lot of time and a lot of effort on behalf of the state auditor's office because it requires a tremendous amount of resource, even with the new computer systems that we've been able to implement as a result of getting out from under DIT, right? So what we do when we're doing municipal audits is exactly, for example, what we're doing in Charlotte. To audit the city of Charlotte would be a fool's errand because we would be stuck there forever and we would not get an impactful result.
Right.
To audit the
So you
Charlotte
have to look
area,
for specific things?
well, to audit the Charlotte area transit system, however, that's a relatively small in the big picture of things. Division of, even though it is large with multi-millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in budget, it is something that we can bite off and actually get a result on. So similarly, to do an audit of a municipality the size of Fayetteville, we would look at specific areas. For example, building projects.
That's a good one.
Well,
that would be
that
would be a hypothetical area you would look at as the state auditor at a municipality the size of Fayetteville. Building projects, both completed and uncompleted.
Well, it's put me, this financial discussion has put me in a weird space of me actually defending some incumbent electeds, and because I see so many people online, and that's why I want to know the terminology we're dealing with.
Yeah.
There are people online, those keyboard warriors, they're lining their pockets with, and I'm like, okay, show me where. Yeah. And teach me or something. I don't know. It's a direct it's not as easy as people make it sound. And then the other thing is, when we talk about the building projects here and other things, people aren't read in enough on the processes. Like they say that, we just gave money to somebody and he ran off with it, but you don't realize it was institutional failure, and it was like 10 people had to sign off on it.
But if those 10 people are all in cahoots because they're all working behind the scenes together.
Yes.
It's a complicated. Laura, you bring up a good point there, and Peter, you too, in the sense of it is a complicated process, and the resources that we have in the state auditor's office. I've got now 205 members of the team here that deal with audits, and as you know, we also now ultimately have supervision over elections in the state of North Carolina, which is a new duty of the state auditor. And there are 77 employees of the State Board of Elections that we have financial responsibility for. But on the audit side of the house, we have 205 team members. We had 160, but 3 weeks ago, the legislature gave us 45 additional team members. So now we have 205, and we're actively recruiting. So if anybody listening is interested in working for the state auditor's office, go to the website and apply. But we're, those still, we've got to marshal those resources to where we can get the most impact. And so when you go into a municipality, if you go in and just say, we're going to audit the municipality.
Right.
That's just, there are a lot of rabbits you can chase. Right. On a city budget.
Part of my questioning too is we are in election season right now in a cycle, and some of the guys running for city council, they're a little green, and they're out here, we're going to cut the waste, we're going to cut this, and I finally, nicely, believe it or not, I said, what waste? What have you read? What's the burr under your saddle? Where do you think we're wasting? And there's really not a good answer. People just assume government equals waste, and we know. I hate to say that sometimes. Well, that's government, but it's not necessarily as bad as everybody puts out,
Well, yeah, and you've got, there are legitimate questions that any city probably needs to answer. For example, if you have a parking deck project that never gets finished, that's one that you probably should answer.
We don't have any of those around.
Yeah, nothing like that.
A fire department that is
a fire department with walls that can't stand. Yeah.
Right. Those are questions that need to be answered because they're real questions. And again, government officials who make decisions to build a building on behalf of the public. The motive is altruistic, right? The motive is, all right, we want to provide additional fire services. We want to be able to serve the people of North Carolina. But it's also, you're not spending your money. You're spending taxpayer money.
Right.
Yeah.
So you owe an explanation to the taxpayer on exactly how those dollars are being spent. And really, I think, why you're spending them in the way they're being spent. I think you owe that to the people, which is why I put up on our website at the state auditor's office, you can go to the website at auditor.nc.gov and you can see how we spend every dollar. I put my budget and my checkbook online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to see how it was that a company got to bond themselves. Where did we drop the ball on that? That's what, just curious.
So
I think that's a reasonable question, Laura.
Yes. Very reasonable.
I'll leave it at that. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. So he's not in Fayetteville yet doing the work. So because look, he has 205 auditors statewide, and we have 100 counties. So do the math.
So the great thing about this
thin.
But the great thing about auditing is that you can't go back and rewrite history.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
The tale has already been told. It's just a matter of us actually telling it to the public.
Trying to pull it out. Yeah.
The story's already been written. We just need to tell it.
So the worst thing ever that befell city county governments was giving employees credit cards. So Spring Lake was notorious for this. I mean, they got twice they went through the same thing, but FSU within the last 2 years I know had an issue with people misusing and all. But what I've never heard, and City of Fayetteville went through it too within the last 3 or 4 years, I believe. There was just a lot of money spent that not all the receipts made it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Did Fayetteville discipline? I mean, if you even know, but FSU, that's got to be state money.
So this was
who's looking at that?
Yeah. So I actually had a little note on this because I wanted to make sure I got the numbers right. It was north of $600,000, I think, on the P card. From 692, almost $700,000.
FSU.
From FSU that was missing. That was malfeasance. In other words, that was, I believe, malfeasance.
Well, yeah, the lady was consulting for the school and using the credit card for it.
It's more complicated than that. And so I've asked our team to go back and take a look at it.
Okay.
It's really, it's almost a hard thing to do to pick up what the last state auditor sort of did and didn't complete. One of the things that I've done, which is why I've gone from 2 to 12 people in the investigative division is that, what the previous administration's policy was to do an audit and tell the agency or institution, in this case, Fayetteville State, what went wrong and what they could do to improve. And all that's really important.
Sure.
As our job as state auditor. But in the case of malfeasance, when you've got people that are embezzling dollars, you need to take that next step and hold people accountable.
Yeah.
And that was not happening with previous administration. And so our policy is to hold people accountable and to share our entire file, complete with work papers, and to make auditors who are involved in the job available for testimony in court if necessary. And so moving forward, we're able to provide that more granular support on behalf of law enforcement across the state of North Carolina. That's our commitment, because I believe if you steal money from the taxpayer, you need to go to jail. I mean,
absolutely.
I just believe that.
Well, and I'm still waiting. I mean, Spring Lake.
And that is a real issue. I know the SBI has been involved. And that file was referred to the SBI, and we continue to stand ready for the SBI to follow up on that particular incident. But I will tell you, P cards are a problem statewide. And it is.
Do we have a statute of limitations on that, though?
No, there is no statute of limitations on a felony, only on a misdemeanor.
Okay.
Remember that, Laura.
Yeah. Mental note. No felonies. Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
Always tried, never convicted, Laura. Yeah. So. Okay, so P cards are an issue statewide. Like I said, I wasn't surprised to hear there was an issue. But again, I'm waiting as a citizen, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, who's taking responsibility? Yeah. We found this egregious. I mean, reading this thing, it's like watching a bad Godfather movie. Yeah. The stuff they got away with.
Look, that was one of the things I did, is reopen that situation when we got here to take a look at it, and we've provided all the relevant information to law enforcement, and we stand ready to help law enforcement.
Okay, so it's not. So basically, it's up to you to create the file, be available for investigative bodies such as the SBI, or I mean, if it's worse, it goes up.
Yeah, I don't have law enforcement. We don't have a law enforcement, and you don't want the state auditor to have a law enforcement.
Yeah,
it would really get in the way of our objectivity if we had law enforcement.
If you had it, if you had it all.
Our job is to go in, get the facts, lay them out, be data driven, and then hand that over to the right. If it's malfeasance to law enforcement, if it's misfeasance, or combination misfeasance, malfeasance to policymakers on exactly what needs to change. And then also to illuminate it for the public. I mean, we're sort of the storyteller for the public. Our job is to tell the story of government to everyday North Carolinians.
Well, God bless you for what you're doing.
I love it. I know what an auditor, a state auditor does now, and I'm like, get them, get them.
Man, I am so happy to see you in the office.
I'd want to be state auditor. I mean, this is great.
I love that you do it.
With it.
Yeah, I mean,
love that you do it.
Were you like the class treasurer in high school, like the job nobody wanted, and you got it? And you were all happy.
But
I mean, was that
this has been good. I mean, it's the real opportunity here is to be relevant to everyday North Carolinians instead of just, as I sort of alluded to, instead of just working to make agencies better. And we do that, and that is part of our job. And we don't want to give that away, but we also are taking the approach of making sure that everything we do it in terms of being able to tell everyday North Carolinians why this matters to them, one, and two, what changes can be made that can directly affect them every day. And this DMV is a really solid example of that. How we can affect everyday North Carolinians. We did an audit of the battleship North Carolina and found some really severe financial issues there. And that's an issue where we found the issues, but those are issues that can be solved and cleaned up quickly.
right?
And so our team is working with the team there at the North Carolina battleship to get those financial problems corrected so that the battleship is there for North Carolinians to go visit, for tourism, because it's an anchor for the city of Wilmington to use as a draw for tourism and for special events and fireworks on the 4th of July, right? We want the battleship to be there, and so we're working really hard to make those financial corrections quickly with the team at the battleship.
Just to circle back and close this up, just to say, remind everybody again where they go, because you're hiring for auditors. So
Auditor.
where do they need to go? And
auditor.nc.gov. You can just put North Carolina Auditor in the Google machine, it'll come up.
the Google machine. Yeah, buddy.
Just do the Google. Well, State Auditor Mr. Dave Boliek, I appreciate you being here with us. A great conversation. Look forward to seeing you again over a good Baldino sandwich for lunch one day.
I better be invited.
So,
yeah, if you're coming to Fayetteville, you need to let us all know.
Let us know.
You have my number. Like, hey.
I got you. I will let you know. I got all of you. I don't have time to drive, but I'll get it.
You'll get it. He's easy to find.
Yeah,
So, listen, thank you to my honored cabinet members, Pastor Joshua Goodman and Mrs. Laura Musler. We are going to have another guest coming in soon, Mr. Stefan Ferguson, I believe, running for city council. So, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back. And to everybody, stay tuned. God
Thank
bless
you so much, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Auditor.